And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
I'm choosing not to talk about it.
I think it's probably a good idea.
Welcome, guys. Thank
Executive decision. I like it.
Thank you so much for hanging out and for tuning in. Sorry that we are, a little later than our usual lateness, but what are you going to do? This is the Hair Loss Show, The Bald Truth. And again, I always throw myself off when I say the Hair Loss Show because there is now a show called the Hair Loss Show, which is a good show. But this is the OG Hair Loss Show. I've been doing this program for close to 40 years. No, actually 23 years and counting. And Joe and I are here to really help guide you through and help you to navigate a ridiculously dangerous industry, which is the hair loss industry. It's I always say $3.5 billion, but now it's at almost $5 billion. It's like 4.11 or something, 4.10 or 4. What is it, Joe? 4.9? 4.10 would be 5.
5.
Yeah.
I think that's a low number. I really do. Considering all the cash deals going on in Turkey, I don't know.
Well, anyway, it's a big industry.
It was $4 billion. Like 15 years ago, it was a $4 billion industry, wasn't it? Or was that hair loss in general, encompassing surgery and everything?
It's the entire industry. And yeah, I'm having trouble hearing you, but it's not. You're fine in the software. There's just some sort of whatever the issue is, we will fix it. Our phone lines are open, 888-659-3727. But it's a big fucking industry. It's like almost $5 billion a year. And 99% of all products and services don't work. As bad as the weight loss industry is, the hair loss industry is the worst in the world, and it's getting worse. I was alerted to something that actually you and I were speaking about, Joe. And see if I can fix this. And it's a physician who is essentially trying to sell information to other physicians and to other people in the industry on how to get into this field, which is a evergreen industry. And the way in which it's being sold is just it's typical of what this industry is all about. It is being sold as a commodity. There's a guy who listen. I usually will never make fun of anybody's hair or hair wearing situation, but this dude is essentially looks like he's wearing a hairpiece that's backwards. And he's talking about...
I mean, it's not a good one. It's bad.
And essentially talking about how to improve people's lives with surgical hair restoration, PRP, and other hair loss protocols, and how you can create easily an extra $120,000 a year in your practice just by doing so. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, man. I mean, this is why this industry is so fucked up. And there's new guys every day who are coming in like, you know what, I want a piece of this. And there's a sucker born every minute. And they know it.
I have to say, though, that the production value on this would not turn on a lot of relatively smart doctors. I think they'd look at it and be like, what is this circus act I'm watching? But there are unscrupulous people out there that would be rubbing their hands together with glee, saying, yeah, I can do that. Awesome. Because this guy, I mean, it's like you look at the guy and you look at the facility. Like the first time I saw it when he sent it to me, it looked like a dark closet that they were operating in, or like some empty apartment that they had rented, and it was one of the bedrooms that they turned into an OR. Like, it was really weird looking. So
Well,
I would hope that the low production value of that would turn a lot of people off. But
No,
unfortunately,
honestly,
a lot more will still be interested.
Honestly, I don't think that it will. I think that, sadly, what's interesting about this field is kind of like the worse shit is, or the worse the production value is, the worse the information, the more people gravitate to it, whether it's doctors or consumers. It's just the way that it is. If physicians are out there saying, "Look, we can make this happen for your practice. You can easily garner $120,000 to $200,000 a year for doing nothing, essentially," and that's the way this guy's promoting it. It doesn't matter what the production value is. If there's somebody out there on the internet, on YouTube, saying that we could, that here's the information, here's all the bro science, and it's possible to stop your hair loss if you go to one of our stores and buy one of our products or whatever, that's where people gravitate towards. It's an amazing phenomenon, to be honest with you.
No, 100%. I mean, it's, I keep holding out hope that the low production value, like in a situation like this, that people would be kind of like shaking their head thinking, oh, there's another one. But you're right. I mean, there's it seems like the lower the threshold of entry, like they look at this production value, I don't want to keep referring to that, but they look at what this guy is selling, and the cheaper the whole setup looks, maybe they're thinking the easier it is to get into. I don't know. It's just, I want to hold out hope that there's some decency in people to recognize, some common sense to recognize this for what it is, but I keep getting disappointed. I don't like being disappointed, Spencer.
I don't like being disappointed either. And check out your chat, by the way.
Yep. Okay. Oh, no. See, that's just wrong. Okay.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. As they say in the game, you can't allow hate speech in the chat. Apparently.
Yeah. That's have some class, guys. That's just not good. And we won't be tolerated, so. And you know who you are.
So, guys, give us a call. We are here to answer any of your questions, any concerns about hair loss, anything that is related to this insane industry. If you are new to the program and don't know who I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of, I guess, the most read book on the subject of the prevention and treatment of hair loss in the world, which sounds obnoxious when I say it, but it's just the truth. What am I going to tell you? Those are the facts, Jack. Published in 5 languages, still on, in print, which is insane to me. Name of that book is The Bald Truth. I'm also the author of The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And I'm also the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Joe Tillman is the OG hair transplant mentor. He's a guy who's been in the trenches for a very, very long time, close to 2 decades in the industry. And I've been suffering from hair loss since the age of 9. I'm just kidding about the age of 9, by the way, but for a long time.
It felt like it. Yeah. It felt like it.
Yeah.
It feels like it now, actually. It's been so long. Like it's been a part of my life for more than half my life.
Hold on. That only hate speech.
Sad.
Well, you know what? It's actually, I'm just reading your chat. I have to stop reading the chat. It's distracting.
Yeah.
I think that the only, I think about that all the time, that I am now, I'm going to be 56 years old. I noticed my hair loss at the age of 21. So the majority of my life I've been dealing with hair loss. I've been in this industry as an adult. I mean, I started really young in this field. It's pretty nutty when I think about it. And you know what the craziest part is?
No, I agree.
It's only getting worse. The whole situation's only getting worse. As great, as many changes, as many people who we've been able to help over the years, as many books have been in the hands of these guys who, in that day, in that time, people were able to be helped and guided in the right direction. There's 200,000 of us waking up every day realizing for the first time that we're losing our hair, and where do they go? They go to social media, and they get suckered in.
Yep.
And then they end up coming back.
I was
yeah.
No, I was just going to say I was talking to I was on Instagram Live with Dr. Gary Linkov the other night, and he asked the question, and I thought it was a great question. Thank you. He said, "What's changed for the worst?" Wait, what was the question? What's changed for the worst over the past, since I've been in the business? Yeah,
everything.
And it's basically everything. And he kind of, I don't think he's prepared for that answer. It's like, it's worse across the board. Like there are far more bad. Like it's always been the case. Like there's been more bad doctors than good doctors, but now it's like finding a needle in a haystack. Like there's more good doctors, I think, now than there's ever been, but the ratio compared to bad doctors has distanced considerably. Like there's a much higher ratio of bad doctors to good doctors than ever.
You gotta understand, when I got into the field, the ISHRS, I think, had about 400 members. And I was only able to assess that 11 of those members were doing state-of-the-art hair transplant surgery.
Yeah.
But as far as the percentage, and like you said, the ratio, it's far worse now.
I need to just interject here in the chat room, guys. You need to remember this. Like, this isn't under my control. I've actually tried to loosen the rules on when I set up these live streams. But when you guys want to start throwing F-bombs or saying someone knows this shit or whatever, it's not going to go through. Like Bacterial Lying, you made a great comment about your upcoming procedure. Good luck with that, by the way. You said that the doc knows this shit. You had a great comment, but YouTube's not letting it through. So it's not up to me. It's up to YouTube. So everyone chatting in there, stop throwing the words cock, shit, like all that. Speak like you're speaking to your grandma. Like you literally have to, or else your comments get held. And I'm like, I don't want to keep bouncing back and forth to enable comments. It's tiring. So just try to speak without those words, and your comments will get through. If you don't, then they're lost forever. So keep that in mind, guys.
Joe's getting mad. I don't like when Joe gets upset. Guys, let's just start with take some phone calls. Let's stop with the goddamn preamble and the bullshit and the introduction. You all know this is a fucked up industry. There's a good chance if you decide to move forward with buying any product or service, you're going to be ripped off, you're going to be conned, or you could be disfigured. There's a handful of great surgeons in the entire world with a good staff, and even then you can get fucked up. That's the reality. There's a few products out there that actually work, FDA approved, and a couple of things that are a little questionable, but seem to be getting some good anecdotal results. That's it. Mm-hmm. Nothing has changed. RU 58841 bought on the gray market, it's not going to help you in the long term, and you don't know what you're getting. All this stuff that you guys are investing in, your time, your effort, all the hours spent watching the bro science. If you're truly entertained by it, then there's benefit to that. But as far as your hair loss is concerned, it's unlikely you're going to be helped. That's the reality. We have been in the trenches for many, many years. I'm going on about 30 years in the trenches, almost 25 years in this field. And I promise you, if there's anything out there that's going to help you guys, or any product or service that's legitimate, they will contact the American Hair Loss Association first. I will get that email. And they will want us to endorse them. And those that try to circumvent that, first of all, they know they have something that's not going to be endorsed. That's just the way that it is. How many times do I have to say this? Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer, Joe, this is Reese. How you guys doing?
Hey, Reese, man, what's happening?
Hey, Reese. How's it going, buddy?
It's going really well. So everything you just said, Spencer, 100% agree with that, man. It's insane online. I since I had talked to you guys a couple times weeks ago, I went on briefly just to see what you guys are talking about, and holy man, it's insane. I don't know what is going on with these, especially the young population.
It's sad to me because there's so much time that's going to be wasted, and there's also really potential. All right, forget about these guys losing their money. It's only money. Comes and goes.
It's crazy.
But what?
So,
go ahead.
The reason why I'm calling is I checked my medical records because military, everything is on file. Years ago, when so what I was curious to see, because I just had blood work done to see just normal blood work, but I also requested for my testosterone and my estrogen levels to see where I was at, because I know that I've done really well on Finasteride, as you guys know, for like 15 years, 16 years. It's been a long time. And I mentioned to you guys that I started with Finasteride, and my body kind of rejected it. I didn't feel right, and I had some issues with it. Remember I told you that?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. So I went back, and I found out why, especially since I got my recent blood work. So years ago, when I was in my 20s, and I went on Finasteride, and you're talking about these guys now, all over the place, with the fear-mongering, and then, going back and forth, should I start medicine, should I not, just all over the place. So back then, I took your advice, Spencer, and then Joe, you two from the old chat rooms. I got on Finasteride, and I went on for a full year, because that's what you guys recommended, to see if the shit worked for me or not. And I didn't go on any chat rooms or deal with any of that stuff. So Finasteride for a full year under my doctor's supervision. I had blood work done before. I had blood work done at 6 months, and then I had blood work done at the 12-month mark. So Finasteride, the side effects that I had, and the doctor had it charted in there too, was that I had some breast tenderness. I didn't get full-on gyno, but I did have breast tenderness, especially in my left breast, my left chest. And I didn't have any issues sexually, but something was off. And the blood work showed it. What happened was Finasteride, it slightly increased my testosterone, but I've always had high testosterone levels. But anyways, it slightly increased my testosterone, but what it did was it elevated my estrogen to too high. So I had an imbalance of the testosterone to estrogen with Finasteride, and that's why I was having the issues. So I switched over to Finasteride, and I think it was like 2 years later, 2 years on Finasteride, and I immediately felt better when I got on Finasteride when I made the switch. So 2 years later, the blood work showed that my testosterone went through the roof, and my estrogen slightly lowered. So I had a more balanced hormone profile. So fast forward to today, I had my results, my blood work results, and my testosterone is, I'm in my mid-40s. My testosterone is over 1,000. So it's through the roof. I have, like, basically, the doctor told me I have testosterone of a 16-year-old. But my estrogen levels are perfect balance with my levels of testosterone. So I'm in perfect hormone balance. So my libido's been through the roof with Finasteride, like I told you guys, and no sexual size or anything like that, because my hormones are perfectly balanced. But I'm getting the added benefit of the extra testosterone from the Finasteride. So it's basically like a super pill for me personally. So for me personally, Finasteride, for whatever reason, made my hormones imbalanced, and Finasteride made them, like, perfect.
You know, what's interesting is in my world, and I actually have to get a full checkup including, all kinds. I actually just had some. I just had a scan. I had an issue with my leg, and I'm like, oh my God, I have a fucking blood clot. My age, and
no.
So I'm just like, you know what? I take care of shit. I don't wait a month to see what's going on. If there's something going on, especially something serious like that, I'm going to take care of it. So I go, call my doctor. I'm like, listen, man, I either have a blood clot or some sort of a cyst or something's going on with my leg because it hurts like a motherfucker. Get me a sonogram. So I go in there, get a sonogram, set up for a full checkup. Long story short, everything's cool, no blood clots. But when my doctor asked me if I want to have my hormones checked, first he asked me, like, okay, so how's everything going? He takes my PSA, all that stuff, everything's cool.
Right.
He asked me if I ever want to get, like, my testosterone checked, because all these guys, they want to sell you fucking testosterone. They want to get you on TRT therapy.
Right.
I'm like, you know what, man? And this is maybe TMI, but I wake up, like a silo. Everything's cool. I feel good. I'm strong. I'm pretty jacked for my age. I don't need to fuck with anything. I don't want to know specific numbers at this point, because if that's in my head, that my T might be a little lower than it's supposed to be, or you think it's supposed to be, then that could screw with me. Why even test it if I feel good? That's how I feel about it. So for me, being on finasteride for almost 30 years, I think, in my world, has been a benefit to my life in many ways. And I've had no adverse side effects. And I think that maybe it's even, like you said, maybe it helped to keep my hormones in a relatively good balance so that I would able to maintain my strength at the age of 56 and my, I guess, sexual prowess and all that stuff, where a lot of guys my age are fucked up.
Yeah. And your prostate's great, too, because you've been on the medicine for all these years.
Well, that is true. I mean, the guy, sadly, I really hate that digital exam, but he's always like, man, it's like the size of a pea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, but this is another thing, another reason why I called. And, Joe, I do want to hear your take on this, too. But another reason why I called is, like, everything is so fucking negative. On these, like I told you, I briefly looked at these online, I don't even know what you call them anymore, not chat rooms, they're just like horror shows,
Cesspools?
How about
cesspools?
What's going on. Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking, you know what? Everything on here is negative. It's like the world we live in, like everything's negative. The news just wants to show you negative this, negative that, everything sucks. And you know what? Guess what? There's guys like you, Spencer, me, Joe. We benefited from these medicines. We're success stories as far as this stuff goes. Like, there is a lot of good happening to guys. It's just not all negative shit. And especially the young population, like you said, man, I feel bad for these guys. But at some point, these young guys got to say, listen. I can't keep going back and forth, worrying, should I do this, should I do that, and go on something for like 2 days, and then, be afraid if you get this or that and go off of it. It's just ridiculous.
All I can tell you, man, is that 20 years ago, when I first got on the air and people were calling me and they read the book and all this stuff, and they were saying that they got the prescription for finasteride, no one. And I'm talking, we were in 26 markets at one point. No one was calling in with the fear of long-term adverse side effects or the fact, I would say in general, maybe in the first 2 years on the air, one person called in, I remember his name is Steve from Long Island, called in, contacted me about gynecomastia. And I don't know if it was reversible, but he suffered from that. And two guys got off of it. Because of adverse sexual side effects. And everyone else muscled through, stayed on it, and they may be on it till this day. And I'm not saying that these side effects don't occur, but I do find it fascinating that the first few years of me being on the air, when we had a huge market of people calling in and reading the book, they weren't complaining about these, or they weren't fearful about these things. And they were able to go on, they were taking this drug, and a lot of them were stopping the progression of their hair loss. and they weren't out there thinking about it 24 hours, 7 days a week. And a lot of them got, a decade or more of their life so they can kind of, take control.
No shit, right? Take control.
I remember
Spencer,
I remember when the sexual side effects came out, and it was like a tsunami of concern and questions. When I remember it quite well. Like leading up to that point, there were almost no complaints or questions about sexual side effects. The main complaint that I can remember or not complaint, but concern was of sterility. Is it going to prevent me from having kids? And I remember thinking, well, that's an odd one. No, that's not based on anything I've read or heard. And then it was like a tsunami of negativity after a few people started speaking out loud about this. And there was some guy. I remember the circumstances of this guy's situation, and I remember when he first kind of got some recognition, not as an individual, but he was the person that started this class action lawsuit for PFS, and
I think I remember that.
That's when the floodgates opened. Yeah, that's when the floodgates opened, and that was around 2007. I don't remember when that was, but a long time ago, and it just exploded. Like suddenly, this pill that worked great for me, worked great for Spencer, and worked great for thousands and thousands of other guys became evil. It was like a devil pill. Guys didn't even want to talk about it. Because then, and frankly, I got to the point where I didn't want to talk about it because I was afraid people were going to be going online saying, they're pushing me to try this pill. Well, I didn't want to push anyone to try it. I was just educating about the facts.
They're saying it anyway. I mean, we're Merck shows. The shit that I've had my life threatened because I'm telling the truth about my story. I've had my life threatened on YouTube.
Crazy. You guys are beyond battle tested. That's why I told you last time I talked to you. Just more power to you guys. Seriously, it's been, what you guys have done and continue to do is beyond me, because there's no way in hell I'd be able to do what you guys do. After I went to that cesspool online and checked a couple things, I told my wife, I was like, man, I cannot believe this. It was insane. It was just.
Well, I want you to think about that experience that you have and multiply that by 100, and then multiply that by not only the consumers who are going nuts on your ass, but the doctors and the people who think they're competing with you in this industry. It is a vicious fucking place. I mean, I got off the phone with a physician the other day, 2 days ago, telling me that he spoke to another physician who's part of one of the politicians. And the stuff that he was saying, that people in this industry believe, the narrative that's been created about me, promoting medicine, the practice of medicine without a license, all kinds of insane shit.
What?
Oh yeah, dude. When you're out there telling the truth, when you're out there just telling it like it is, not your truth, but the truth.
Right.
People don't like to hear that shit, man.
Your truth.
People don't like to hear that shit. The physicians don't like to hear it because you're exposing them for who they really are.
Yeah.
Certain patients don't like to hear it because maybe they haven't done well on the drugs that you've done well on, or they've taken some bad steps, they've made some mistakes and some missteps.
Right.
And they just want to go in and get fixed, and we're telling them, look, surgery's the last resort, or maybe you should get on medication. And then you have the guys who are trying to make money in this industry who look at you as a competitor. And they try to destroy your reputation with the doctors. And let me tell you, 20-something years of that, I'm fucking bulletproof, man.
Yeah, you guys, like I said, it's insane. Yeah, I definitely really appreciate you guys for what you've done and continue to do in this industry. And I just got back into it, like I told you guys. I haven't thought about this shit or looked about this stuff for years. But my recent interactions with you guys, and then happen to have this latest blood work, and I'm with you, Spencer. I feel amazing, so I don't give a shit what my T level is or whatnot, and I've never been one of those guys that I don't even do like protein shakes, you know, like I just all natural everything as far as like working out or whatnot. So that wasn't even on my radar, but I was just curious to see what my levels were because I deep dove into why Finasteride gave me some issues and Dutasteride did not. Now, majority of guys have the opposite, you know, with Finasteride over Dutasteride, but I'm just one of the ones that my body just likes that medicine, you know.
Yeah, but Reese, you're not the first person who's contacted us to say that. I've known many guys actually, probably more than 10, who've contacted me over the years who did not do well. Yeah, who did not do well on Finasteride, and they switched to Dutasteride because they really wanted to stop their hair loss, and I guess they were doing pretty well as far as the cessation of hair loss on Finasteride, but they were having side effects. So our suggestion, and we're not doctors, is usually to try to titrate the Finasteride dosage. But there's a lot of doctors who will just prescribe Dutasteride and see how they do on that. And these guys have done very well. And I know that Joe has seen that in clinic.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, you know, every body, BODY, is different. Our physiology is different.
100%. And all your listeners right now, especially you young guys listening, guys, listen, seriously, do it the right way. Stop being so afraid. Like, I did everything, not that I did everything perfect, but as far as the medicine I did, got with the doctor, professional, knew what he was talking about, and got on the medicine for a full year, got blood work before I started it, got blood work at 6 months, got blood work at 12 months, make sure that everything was in line, and I'm glad I did because it showed the hormone imbalance. And he even had that in his notes. The doctor had it in his notes. And back then, I was in my 20s, and I didn't pay attention. I didn't give a shit about my hormone profile. I was just like, is the shit working or not? Am I losing hair or not? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I'm glad that everything was documented because now that I'm older and I, went back and looked at it, and then what I have now, it all makes sense, and it all comes together.
Well, look, you've dealt with a lot in your life, and you've overcome a lot, and for a guy like you to come and take the time. Obviously, I know that it's cathartic as well, but to take the time to share your experiences with the younger guys, I think it's really important. There's a guy in the chat who said that he's never heard of anyone having less side effects with Dutasteride. Well, I can attest that there are.
Well, I'm one right here.
Yeah, there are people who have less side effects or no side effects with Dutasteride who have had side effects with Finasteride. Why is that?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure, but like Reese said, for whatever reason, this balanced out his hormones.
Yeah. For me personally, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's other reasons, surely, but for the majority of guys, it does come down to your hormones. With this stuff, and like you said about titrating the medicine, I took Finasteride. I did the brand. I did Propecia, 1 year, 1 milligram a day. Didn't titrate at all. But back then, it wasn't like in style to titrate. Like I followed. The doctor said take this dose, the full dose every day, and that's what I did. I listened to the doctor, right? So I didn't titrate it at all. So I could have possibly done that, but if I would have done that, I probably would have fooled around for a couple of years and not gotten the benefit of Dutasteride quicker. Because Dutasteride, for me, not only gave me all the benefits of the balanced hormones and the spike in testosterone, which helped me in other ways, like I said, but it also Finasteride did a good job with the hair loss, but however, Dutasteride, man, it increased everything. Like my eyebrows got thicker, like my the back and the sides got thicker. Like everything increased with that medicine for me personally, and to this day, 15 years later, like I have better hair now than I did when I was 20.
Yeah, listen,
So,
people I've read so much bullshit about, me being on a drug for so long or Joe being on a drug for so long. Here's the bottom line. For us, it was of great benefit. It's all possible for people to take this drug and have no adverse side effects, including dutasteride and other medications, and have good, long-standing results. It happens. Right. It happens in life. There's no, hard, fast rules. There's these guys who think, finasteride is only going to work for 4 years or 5 years, and then all of a sudden...
Oh, I saw that too. Such bullshit.
Like, how is there an expiration date on how does everybody have an expiration date on their medication? It doesn't work that way.
No, definitely not.
So listen, Reese, we're going to take some more calls, but I always appreciate you taking the time to call. I know you're probably still overseas. I want to thank you for your service, man.
Hey, absolutely. My pleasure, guys. And hey, listen, if you're interested, I contacted Dr. Wolf and Bosley and all my previous hair transplant and Rahal, and I have some pretty cool photos I can call in and share with you to show you guys.
Yeah.
That repair, and then of course where my hair is compared to when I was 20. Like I said,
100%.
If you guys are interested, I can do that.
We are,
of course.
Send them to Joe. We can actually put them on. Cut out your face or whatever if you want, and put it on the air, and we can talk about it.
All right, sounds good. It probably won't be for a little while here because I'm going to be busy.
No problem.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah,
for a little while. So.
Of course.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Well, hey, you guys take care, and like I said, more power to you guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, man.
What you guys do.
We appreciate you.
Thanks for calling.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Take care. All right, bye.
All right, guys, we have a line open. Phone number is 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. So give us a call if you have any questions or concerns or if you just need to vent. And I think that, what's interesting about Reese is he's old school. He's been around the block. He has experience with all the medication and hair transplant surgery. He's a guy who's come out the other end as a success story. Long term.
100%.
And they exist. And I would say that probably, in my view, and guys, hold on, we'll take your call in a second. One of the worst things a young guy can do who's dealing with hair loss is it's great to have a sense of community. It's great to find a place where other people are talking about it. But in generally, the online world, like Reese said, is a very negative place to hang out in this space.
Yeah.
And that's really why I started The Bald Truth back when I did. I mean, the online world was in its infancy, but the atmosphere in the hair loss world online was atrocious. And it's not changed. It's only gotten worse, and it's only scaled. We're talking about like alt.baldspot back in the day, man. I mean, and you would see the negativity and just the hatred for one another, And it was like there was a slight sense of camaraderie, and then everyone was just battling each other about bro science. It's never changed. And sadly, it's just spread out to so many different resources now, including social media. All right, guys, let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, yo, it's me, Connor from Oklahoma.
Connor from Oklahoma. What's happening, my man?
Connor, what's up, buddy?
Oh, man. It's been doing pretty good. I've been doing it still on the big three and still going pretty good. No side effects.
Dude, that's great,
awesome.
Man. I love hearing that.
And my big three, like, there's two different types of big threes. There's finasteride, minoxidil, and Nizoral, and there's finasteride, minoxidil, and dermal rolling, which is what I'm doing.
So you're basically on the big 2.5.
Well, I'm not using Nizoral.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. You're 19, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would say that there's.
How's your family? How's your family accepting what you're doing?
Oh yeah, definitely, very easily now.
What?
Yeah. Okay. Good. I remember that being a big issue for them.
No, I don't think it was him. I think it was another guy. that Indian kid whose family was fucked up over him using finasteride.
Actually, no, it wasn't
Was it?
me.
Was it
but
you?
Then I told.
Okay.
And then I told them that, like how like people dealing with hair loss, like they're going through the same thing I am, and then pretty much showed them perspective.
And does your mom
That's
ask
right.
you,
Yeah.
are you waking up with wood and stuff like that? I'm just kidding.
What was that?
I was just busting
It's
on
really
you.
hard to hear you guys.
Is it hard to hear me?
Yeah, it's just like like Joe or Spencer is like the audio starts to get distorted, but I think that's just my side of the phone.
It might be.
Well, I think it's kind of popping a little bit. Like sometimes Spencer will be speaking a sentence and then like maybe one word will be missing because it pops and then jumps to the next word. So some sort of strange compression issue, I think.
What
That's
the
okay.
hell is going on?
There's one
I don't know, man.
ridiculous thing I found in hair loss forums.
Okay.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay. So I noticed that people think it's wrong to cope with hair loss. And saying like, you're just coping for it. Like they think that it's wrong to cope.
I think there's a group of young guys who are these. What are those guys called who don't have sex, Joe? These young kids? Are they incels?
Eunuchs?
Not eunuchs. There's like a whole movement.
No fap.
There's a no fap thing. It's just this. There's this whole group of guys who are like, they're like, they're anti-acceptance. They think that if you're accepting it, you're just being weak. And then they're connected to this other group. I don't know. I'm so out of it. I'm an old man. But it's really interesting to read. It's like, dude, that's your first line of attack. Fucking acceptance. Go speak to Harry, man, from what's the name of that show, Joe?
Bald
Please help
Cafe.
me. Bald Cafe.
Bald Cafe. Yeah.
But you want to know something? I'm a Finasteride user, and I still accept my hair loss. I'm still trying to accept it.
Yeah. You're working on accepting it. Yeah. I mean, there's accepting it and not doing anything about it, just letting it continue naturally, and there's accepting it as it is, but still trying to do something about it, like maintaining it. Like there's two different levels of acceptance on there. And you'll have those out there that'll give you a hard time for trying to do something about it, and then you'll have others out there that'll give you a hard time about not doing more about it. Like, you can't win.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Yeah,
And
you have to understand the forum world that you're dealing with. You're really dealing with a significant level of kind of it's almost cult-like. There's a fanatical sense on these forums that I never fully understood. And listen, I have a message forum. I tell people stay off the fucking forums, or just go on there and get as much information as you can to kind of help you to guide you in knowing what's going on out there, seeing physicians before and afters, maybe learning about the basics of what you can really do to help yourself. But the guys that really spend a lot of time hanging out on the message forums or on social media places like Reddit, whatever it is, talking about hair loss, they're not doing themselves any favors, man. It's unhealthy.
They're not.
It's unhealthy in my view.
Yeah, it is. It's unhealthy to okay, so I talked to this about Joe in messages, but I see sometimes the community gets so bad that I heard like a story about a guy wanting to go as far as wanting to like clip their own balls off.
Oh, there's a guy that I was counseling. This is the same old shit. There's a guy that I was counseling probably 23 or 24 years ago, and my show had just come on the air. Back in the day, I used to pick up the phones after the show because we would get so many calls, and I would answer people's questions. This is a guy who said that he was actually seeing a doctor and getting a psychological evaluation to have essentially to be castrated.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to maintain his hair. And he also was, he said that he'd be willing to take testosterone replacement and be castrated. I'm like, you can't take testosterone replacement. after you're castrated, you're still going to lose your hair, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I talked this guy out of cutting his balls off. And there was some hack doctor that was willing to possibly do it if he passed the psychological evaluation. I mean, this is how desperate people are. I'm going to use this as an Instagram clip. At Spencer Kobren, by the way, guys. Follow me. Because this is reality. This is how desperate people are to save their hair. They're willing to cut their junk off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So when I started using Finasteride, I kind of jumped the gun through the kitchen sink, and I added salt palmetto, and then I got like massive brain fog, so I took salt palmetto out, and then the brain fog went away, and I'm like fine right now.
Well, here's the thing: salt palmetto does lower DHT, and just so salt palmetto comes from Nature's Pharmacy, and anyone who claims that salt palmetto does not have adverse side effects is crazy. I wrote the first chapter about it, and back then we didn't know about the adverse side effects, and I have since said, listen, go for the drug first.
Yeah.
Do not
go
for the drug. And the thing is, at least you know if you're at least if you're taking brand for sure exactly what's in that formulation.
Yeah.
And if anyone,
I personally look at all natural as not necessarily being a good thing, because if you eat a peach pit, you can die. But it's natural.
Natural arsenic.
Apple seeds have a cyanide-like compound. It's all natural.
Yeah.
There are mushrooms out there that will kill you dead. They're all natural. I don't subscribe to that.
Yeah. Now, I know that salt palmetto just is a weaker Finasteride, but the reason why I added it with Finasteride, because I thought, what's the benefit? But then once I added them both together, I had a brain fog side effect. So
you're looking to make up for whatever Finasteride doesn't catch.
You also
you're trying
don't
to catch
know
the rest of it.
You also don't know if it's a weaker Finasteride. Yeah. In clinical studies back 20 years ago that were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, salt palmetto had showed a relatively similar decrease in DHT as Finasteride. So that's why back in the day I wrote about this, saying that it's possible that there are natural, less expensive alternatives. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to combine the two, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's one or two products out there that they're providing standardized formulations of salt palmetto. So I'm not going to say that all these products are shit, because some of them are standardized. So at least you know how much you're getting, and you can kind of assess across the board. I guess the thing is you have to know where it's sourced from. But yeah, back to your story, I think it's really important that you did stop. You're taking the drug. You don't need to be on both.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but right now I'm not adding any crazy things. I'm not going to add Nizoral. I'm just going to stick with a pretty convenient stack and see what's going to happen at a 6-month period.
I think you're going to be fine. I think there's a good chance that you're going to see a cessation of your hair loss. And the key is, I don't remember if you said if you'd be okay, but I mean, if you're able to stop your hair loss, keep what you have right now, would you be happy?
Yeah, because I can just grow. I can grow my hair out really long and hide the recession.
Yeah.
If I know that it stopped it completely.
All right. Well, there's a good chance. I'm not saying I don't have a crystal ball, my man, but you're 19. It's early intervention is key, and there's a good chance. You have about an 86% chance clinically, at least according to clinical trials, that you're going to stop or slow the progression of your hair loss.
Yeah.
Those are good odds.
Those are good. And I started. I don't know if this is effective, but I cleaned my diet up because there is some things in the food that can speed up the factor. So I thought if I do that, it can be a better chance.
Well, I think it's important just for your overall health. So yeah, that's great, man. Well, listen, Connor, we're going to let you go.
Let me tell you, real quick, let me just say, the sooner you clean up your diet, the better you'll be for the long term. You're 19 years old, and I'm sitting here listening to you, and you and I have had some conversations offline through message, and I'm really proud of you for the way that you've kind of turned your viewpoint about this and your approach to hair loss around in the past year. But I'm also kind of sad because you are 19 years old and you're stuck with this weight on your shoulders of your hair loss. So what I'd like to see you do is to enjoy your life, like enjoy your youth.
Yeah.
You're doing everything right at this point. Stop looking just stop looking for additional adjuncts to your existing medical therapy, and pay attention to it, what's going on, but try to enjoy your life, man. You got so much going on and so much potential moving forward. I don't want you to be one of those guys that spends the next 20 years of their life searching for that one special combination or cure or whatever. And I don't think it's going to happen. But I just want to reiterate that because you have turned your approach around, but I want you to not be that guy because there are a lot of them out there, and they're miserable.
Like me.
Don't be that guy.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It didn't
like us.
It didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it hit me so hard because I'm not dealing with bald spots or really obvious diffuse thinning, but it's there and it's not so bad.
Well, listen, you're in a good position, and you're starting early, and you've done something to help take control. You're not sitting there like Joe said, looking for a cure that's not there. You're using proven drugs. That's the best you can do. That is the best you can do at this point, and you're doing it, and you're not having any adverse side effects, so just move on. I mean, we appreciate you listening to the program and calling in, and you're always welcome to, but it may even be healthier for you to stop for a while.
Well, I do come on here, but I stay off forums because people try to do this thing where agenda where it's bad to cope, and you got to.
They're fucking toxic, man. They are toxic,
absolutely,
fucking wastelands. And the hair transplant forums are the worst. And you know what? I have one.
What do you do?
Yeah, Bald Truth Talk.
Oh yeah, but you said hair transplant.
Well, it's a hair loss and hair transplant forum. But when they're talking about the hair transplants in the forums, it's the worst. The nonsense that you see, the people. I mean, most of these forums are. They're not most of them. Some of them have phony users. I know that for a fact. It's not even a guess. And the narrative is created by the people that own the forum. It's just fucking ridiculous, man. It puts people, I believe, in grave danger. It's a completely false narrative.
I know for a fact it does.
Yeah. I've known people who've been harmed.
It really, when people talk about, think that hair, try to say, oh, if you go bald, then you're going to be alone forever. I think that's kind of really ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Black pill.
It is.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. Now, those people who are writing that probably will be alone forever because they're toxic people. That's their attitude. They're fearful, and they're toxic, spreading that information. Now, I mean, being alone is not so bad, but I know what you mean. You're young. You guys want to get laid. Plenty of women out there, man. Plenty of women.
Look, that's why there are robots out now.
Dude, let me tell you something. When those finally click, I'm going to be on an island with some robots, and that's it.
Oh my goodness, Spencer.
All right, guys. Listen, Connor, thanks for the call, man. Good luck, and I'm really I'm happy that you're moving forward in a positive direction.
Thanks, dude.
Okay.
I'm happy I was able to get on the call because last week I wanted to talk about this already, but I guess it didn't let me through because there are so many people.
It happens.
Yeah.
All right, man. You take care.
You stayed the course. You made it through.
Thanks.
Right on. Have a good one, man.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Have a great one, guys.
Thanks. The phone number is 888-659-3727.
Couple of announcements. First off, I'd like to address DB in the chat room. He says, I'm new here. Is Alpha X DHT really Joe Tillman's handle? Let me ask you, have you seen me typing at all while Alpha X DHT has been making comments in the chat room? It's not magic, man. Two different people.
Well, that's the guy who
second
actually he also asked if sleeping in a tanning bed grows your hair. Check it out, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, obviously. Yeah. Second thing.
I live in California.
We've been on for 55 minutes. We have 23 likes. What's wrong, guys? Not liking the show? Huh? Show the love.
There's always your two haters, or
likes,
my two
hit that
haters,
like button.
or our two haters that give us a thumbs
Ours.
down.
One for you, one for me. I'm sure they're equally divided. But we could use those likes, guys. We got 24. Thank you, Mr. 24. That was good.
Oh, and by the
Let's
way,
get up to 50 today.
We're going to take your calls, and I'm sorry if the lines are busy. But guys, hold on. We are going to take your calls. 888-659-3727. But I really want to make this clear. I have no problem with people, earning a living in this field. That's fine. That's good. I haven't had to use it, but there's people that pay membership dues to be part of the IHRS. I've been published 3 times. So yeah, this is what I do. And I had sponsors for the radio show for years. But I guess what bothers me the most is just how dirty these players are, and how so many guys are willing to mislead their audience just to make a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's what, in general, the message forums have been about for 20 years. There are a couple of guys who are really good guys who have forums. One guy in particular, but in general, it is a dirty fucking place. And if you are making a decision based on a message forum to have surgery, you're out of your fucking mind. Maybe 50% of the guys who make that move come out okay. Maybe. I don't know if you agree with that, Joe.
You, I think I understood what you kind of dropped out there for a couple seconds. Did you say maybe 50%?
Yeah.
Regret their decision?
Maybe 50% have a good outcome after they've made a decision based on just reading about it online.
That is do I agree with that? I don't know. I don't disagree with it because I haven't thought about that. There's a lot of people are not happy with their outcome. Actually, okay, I would say I agree with that because especially because of the way that how clinics classify satisfaction. Like a lot of clinics will not, like when you walk into any clinic, I've not heard any clinic say otherwise. And a patient asks the question, or the potential patient asks the question, how many people out of every 100 are unhappy with their result? And the clinic will always say 98% are very satisfied. That's horseshit. That's absolute horseshit. Because they're not counting the people that are not devastated by the result. They're not devastated by the outcome. They're just kind of like, could be better.
Yeah.
I might have to go in for another one. They're not counting them.
No, they're not counting them.
They're trying to make it seem like 9 out of 10 people are losing their fucking minds with happiness. It's not true.
I had
no clinic has that record.
I had the Bulletproof Coffee Magnet, Dave Asprey, on the program. We did a special interview after his hair transplant with Alan Bauman.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, and I was very candid, I know these numbers to be true. 7 out of 10 patients today are not satisfied with their hair transplant result. Period. And it could be higher than that, but that's just based on what comes across my desk. the majority of patients out there having a hair transplant, from your average guy that they found on Instagram or any social media or even on message forums, are unhappy.
Yeah.
It's a much lower percentage of guys who from physicians that we work with directly, and that's just the truth. That on anything, that's the truth. But there's still unhappy patients out there. But 7 out of 10. Can you imagine
that? Well, that's more realistic.
That's the truth.
And I think that's higher than reality.
You mean? No, I'm saying 7 out of 10 are unhappy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not talking about disfigured. I'm talking about disappointed. I'm talking about unhappy. I'm talking about They thought they were getting something that they didn't get.
Yeah. Yeah, they were oversold, or they weren't educated well enough, and they just expected more. Yeah, I think that's probably not far off the mark if it's not on the mark. I agree with that. FSK in the chat room, my boy, says, ask people in the chat room that have had a hair transplant how many are happy.
Yeah,
they're free to put in their comments.
Absolutely. Everyone
in the chat room. I'll actually make a poll in my community section on here on my YouTube channel, asking that question, because I've taken my own private polls. Like I've contacted patients, and like sometimes when I evaluate clinics.
When you're at my place, I saw you. I'll reach out to. Dude.
Well, more than one poll, my friend.
You just froze.
And did I?
You did.
Shit! Something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, my camera's on, but I heard something.
I just put it on me.
Okay. All right, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? In the interim, let's just take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Matthew. I'm calling from Bellevue, Washington, and I can't hit the love button, so sorry for not hitting that. But if there was one, I would, but I hit the like button for you guys.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So what can we do for you?
Yeah. My wife and I are trying for a baby, and I'm currently on 1 milligram 3 times a week of finasteride and minoxidil, and I'm thinking of just sticking to the minoxidil because I've noticed some side effects, and I just wanted to get your take on it before making a decision.
Okay, well, I will say this. Based on all the evidence that's out there, and every physician will tell you, there's been no incidents of birth defects where the drug is passed through a guy's sperm to his woman, and there's been no issues with the fetus or birth defects. With that said, if it were me, I don't want to be the anomaly. Now, I know Specs had twins, and I know I have a lot of friends who've had kids who were taking finasteride. There's never been one reported issue. But if it were me, I would probably take some time off. I would never want that in my mind because I have such OCD that I'd be worried throughout the entire pregnancy.
Yeah, we've already had a miscarry, but I know that's not related. But
no.
And like I said, I've
do me a favor. Can
you?
You're not real. I don't really hear you well on your speaker. I don't know if you're on a speakerphone or what.
How about that? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, I've noticed. I was taking finasteride, every day for the first few weeks, and I noticed a major dip in my libido. And so then I went to 3 times a week, and then it's not what it was, but it's still just fine. And I'm about a year out from getting my surgery. So.
Okay. Now, have you noticed any positive results?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I screwed up. I don't know if it's the finasteride or the minoxidil, but yes, I've noticed a very noticeable difference in the crown.
Okay. Here's the thing. You need to be offered for at least it's supposed to get out of your body, within a few days. So there won't be any drug circulating in your bloodstream, and it's not going to be, in your sperm after a few days. But your DHT levels will start to go back to normal around 2 weeks, according to data, after you stop taking the drug. Sometimes you guys aren't going to connect right away. So you could end up being off it for months before she's impregnated. So you just have to be mentally prepared for that. But honestly, I'm pretty sure Joe agrees with this. To me, even though there is no data, there's no evidence anywhere, there's not been one issue cited in 25 years of this drug being on the market, whether it's Proscar or Propecia. If it were me, I would get off the drug before I try to get my wife pregnant. Joe, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel confident. How's my volume? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I feel confident that there would be no issues, but because it's in the back of my head, because people have talked about it, I'd stop too.
Yeah.
Just to eliminate that issue from my mind, so I'd feel better about it.
Because if there was something wrong with the kid, at least and at least I would know, it had nothing to do with finasteride.
Yeah, I could blame her.
Sure.
Yeah, and we could blame her.
Oh yeah, which is a pastime of mine for sure in general. But why not?
Amen.
But
well, I'm sure her pastime is blaming you to her friend, so whatever.
Yeah, of course. It balances out.
Yeah.
But then the other concern I wanted to bounce off you guys real quickly is I take the finasteride out of the equation, and then I shed, and then my surgery cost goes up because I lost a bunch of hair. I also don't like the idea of that either, and losing what I have maintained for the last year too, and then realizing, it was the finasteride that worked and not the minoxidil, and I cut that out, and now I'm...
That's a real possibility, man. I mean, how badly do you want to have a kid?
If it's in the cards...
Do you want to have a kid rather... Would you rather keep your hair or have a kid? Come on, let's be honest. Your wife's not listening.
Hair. Rather have the hair.
There you go. I'm not wrong about these things. You don't have to send your hair to college, my man.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I don't have to nurture it. I mean, I just, the costs, and then this world and all that other stuff, I think the hair's got a lot less to go through and to lose than a human being,
Look,
kids are born perfect.
You trade a kid for hair. You're also trading it for more hair. You're trading it for the freedom to travel. You can have your two-seat sports car. You don't have to worry about the back seat being a necessity. You don't have to worry about room for a baby seat. Or multiple baby seats if you have twins.
Dude,
or
you're going to get this guy divorced,
sake.
man.
No. I said 2 seats for thinking for him and his wife.
Yeah, but the lady wants to have a kid. That's how it works, man. In general.
Well, she can.
Well,
play with the neighbor's kids.
Is a very strong word. We want to try, but if it doesn't work out, we're not going to do IVF and go into a bunch of debt either. If it's not meant to be, we're out.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's another story. Well, you can get a secret vasectomy.
No.
I'm just kidding, man.
It's almost like a nervous laugh there. He's like,
good idea.
No.
Well, that's your choice. So now most doctors and experts and everybody else in the field will say you don't have to get off finasteride. That's what they'll tell you. I am not one of those guys. And yes, there's a guy in the chat room that said, I know that you wouldn't fuck with your finasteride, Spencer. No, I wouldn't, but I'm not trying to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but if I
Jules
was...
in the chat room says, who says you can't travel with a kid? Well, you can travel with a kid, but you can't travel as if you didn't have a kid.
Right.
Big difference. And no one can say otherwise.
So, yeah,
and I mean, can stop cold turkey, or do you recommend weaning off of it?
Well, the thing about finasteride is you don't have to wean off of it. at least according to, experts. Yes, you should always talk to your doctor about it. But yeah, I mean, it's not all of a sudden you're going to have some sort of bizarre adverse side effects. You're taking it 3 days a week. If you want to wean off of it, you can, but that then extends your time trying to. Okay. Once you figure out when your wife is ovulating.
Oh, we got that. That's all dialed in.
So
yeah.
So time that shit. Stop it. See if you guys connect. Give it a shot. Maybe stay off it for 2 months or something.
Okay. Yeah.
And I could say that if you're off of the drug for 2 months, you probably won't go through a massive decline. It's possible if you get back on it quickly that you can kind of save that. You won't have to be as concerned about losing all your gains. You may go through a shed, you may not. But yeah, once you get past the 2 or 3 month mark, you're probably going to lose some ground if it's really effective for you.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, man.
Well, that's really helpful. You guys are. I don't know what we'd do without you. You guys are very helpful, and I'm glad you're around, and hope you keep it going.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Good luck. Say hi to your wife.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for calling, man.
Bye.
You got it.
That was gold.
It really was.
What would you prefer?
That was a good call.
You had a choice. The kid or your hair?
Kid or hair?
Hair. Every time, man. Not every time. I'm sure there's plenty of guys that
on the bald truth.
I'm sure there are guys out there that would prefer having children. I get that. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to... Yeah, I can. I just wanted to make sure. How are you guys?
You know what? I can't complain, man. Hanging in there.
Yeah?
What can we do
I've got a question. I'm kind of new to the podcast. Are you in the same room or are you COVID distanced across the states or something?
Well, actually, he's in a different country. I'm in Los Angeles in the United States of America, and he's in Vancouver, Canada.
And welcome to the show.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I thought I actually called a few weeks ago, but probably it was only a short call. But you can't tell because it almost looks like you're looking at each other sometimes and chatting. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what we're going for, man.
Interesting. Fair enough.
So what's happening? What's your name again?
Thanks. James.
James. And where exactly are you calling from?
Yeah, London.
You're calling from London. Okay, James. So what can we do for you, man? And by the way, is
sorry,
it possible if you
number
speak
did you
into
call?
your phone?
I'm on Skype at the moment, so I called the American one.
If you want, if you want to use your phone, you can call a UK line if this breaks up. But we have a UK line as well.
Okay, I'll try to call back if I cut out.
Yeah, it's
down in the it's in the description of the video if you're watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, so it's a direct. It's a London number. So.
All right. Yeah. Cool. I'll use that in the future, or just cut out, and hopefully it won't. But
so what's going on?
Right on.
But yeah, I called a few weeks back to chat about my situation, and it was a pretty quick call. But I thought I'd give a bit of a recap because I just wanted to ask for your advice really and have a bit of a get your 2 cents because you've been in the game for long enough, I think, and it's very, very hard to find some sound advice these days.
Sure.
So I think, to give you a brief rundown of the situation I'm in, I'm 23, a Norwood 1, I would say, maybe creep into a 2. Nothing major yet, but we all know it starts quite light and it gets gradually worse. I got on Finasteride after doing this research for months. I went straight into 3 milligrams a week for 2 months. And after 2 months, I started to get some sexual side effects. Started to get a bit of gyno and like huge mood. 23.
23. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started to get mood swings and slightly depressive periods. But it wasn't anything massively intense, but I seemed to get it all at once. And I think the gyno was stressing me out more, which is probably linked to a lot of the sexual sides because I was going for a bit of a period where I was stressing out, and I know that could do more to the body.
Sure.
But it worked. My hair stopped shedding. I wasn't shedding any hair at all, but the gyno is just not worth it, really, because, you know, this is another ball game with getting rid of that. So I come off of it. 3 months later to now, I'm starting to shed again. And I went back to my dermatologist, and he just says, I basically suggested a lower dose, starting at a lower dose and building up to it. But he just suggested it probably isn't right for me, and just to consider using minoxidil and to work on my stress levels. But so what my question is, hypothetically speaking, if there isn't any hope for people that cannot take, basically, if you can't take finasteride, is there any hope with what you can do? Because there's a lot of people that get the side effects, and finasteride seems to be the best fight against it, and minoxidil is, like you say, a band-aid, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the person. I believe that in most cases, again, this is based on a lot of anecdotal reports, that minoxidil works. It's a temporary fix. It will keep your hair in an anagen phase longer. Usually the hormones will catch up to you. So I do consider it a Band-Aid. As far as your dermatologist is concerned, I would, maybe consider seeing another specialist, someone who really deals with hair, and speak to him about titrating your dosage, because it's possible if you titrate your dosage that you will have the benefits that you've already experienced without the gyno or any other adverse side effects. I've known guys who have been on, like a total of like less than a quarter of a milligram, like an eighth of a milligram a day, who've seen results without any side effects. And I know Joe has seen a lot of guys in clinic who he's suggested to take a lower dose. So we're not doctors. We can't tell you what to do. You need to speak to your physician about this. But if you really want to give it a shot, and I guess you suggested or you asked your doctor about a lower dosage, then you might want to seek the advice of another physician who's willing to monitor you on a lower dosage. And you also have to be willing to give it a shot. Because the thing about gyno is you feel it. You're not going to have, in general, you're not going to have permanent gynecomastia unless you let it go for too long. So you're going to feel the pressure, and you're going to see the puffiness of the nipple before you actually have a fatty deposit or a real growth in general. So in the end, it's going to be up to you.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to you. I think that your best shot is being on one of these medications for long-term cessation of your hair loss.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because I think minoxidil at my age is just going to it's prolonging the inevitable, right? I'm probably going to be okay for a few years, and then it's going to start to go. And
well, if this helps you at all, when I was your age, that's all we had, and it wasn't even approved yet as Rogaine. So, and it helped me a lot. It gave me several years. And for a while, my hair loss had stopped. I would say for about a year and a half, it just halted. I was like, this is it, man. This shit works. Now, it slowly started to pick up again, but it definitely, I would say, I couldn't get on finasteride until I was like, I don't know, 27 or something like that. That's when I first read about it, and it was approved in 1992 as Proscar. So yeah, I was like 27 years old when I got my hands on it. So I would say for 6 years, minoxidil, it gave me a few solid years, for sure. Not 6, but a few. So it definitely helped me. And, who knows? I mean, you can end up getting a decade out of it. I don't know.
I think also, speaking of minoxidil, I think that with the recent evidence that we've been seeing from some doctors that have been doing some studies on this, and with some clinics how they're prescribing it now, you might want to talk to a physician about low-dosing oral minoxidil, because that's showing to be more effective than topical. And I think that potentially it's more than just a Band-Aid. Like, I agree with Spencer on what he's saying about topical minoxidil. It's I don't like it. I don't prescribe it or suggest it to anyone. And but with oral minoxidil, otherwise known as Lonitin, in pill form, it might be more than the Band-Aid that topical is.
True. So
that's something else to consider.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I've watched a few videos on that recently. I think more people are speaking about that.
Yeah. Or I mean, worst case scenario, you could pick up the Joe Tillman laser cap.
Shh! I haven't launched that yet.
You haven't launched it yet.
Don't tell everyone.
Dude, any day now, man, you're gonna see me bouncing around the fucking internet with a laser cap on my head.
A wire coming out the back,
yeah,
into a battery pack that's stuck in his back pocket. Jesus.
I feel like I'm just at the goal. Like I feel like it's a golden stage of where you're supposed to catch your hair loss, right? Ideally, in an ideal situation, you want to do something for it. You want to be proactive with it before it gets too late. Yeah. And I know not everyone's fortunate enough to catch it as early as I have. So I feel like I'm wasting an opportunity to do something before it gets too late. I don't want to have to get a transplant. Obviously, that's not the you shouldn't have that to fall back on. Ideally, you want to try and not get to that point. I know some people aren't as lucky, but
well, if it makes you feel any better, also, if it makes you feel any better, also, I've known guys who've had gyno symptoms on the full dosage, and who have titrated to the point where they had success, and they have no gyno. So that is a real possibility as well. You know, so for me, and I'm not a doctor, but if it were me giving, like, you know, my son a suggestion, I would probably go with the titrating of the finasteride before taking the oral minoxidil, and keep the oral minoxidil in your toolbox in case you need it.
That was the plan the first time around, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would suggest to my kid. But I'm not a doctor, so you need to talk to your doctor about it. But it just seems like, okay, you had one side effect. It's a sucky side effect. But you also had success with it. Let's see if you can get yourself down to the point where you don't have any side effects and you still benefit from it.
Yeah, it's difficult to say if the sexual dysfunction was due to finasteride. Like, there was no way of. Another thing, yeah. It's just
how fast did you notice the sexual dysfunction?
Around the same time as the gyno.
So how many weeks were you on the drug?
2 months.
Okay.
So that was when I came off of it. So about 2 months. I had a spike, which I know is normal, but like it seemed to plateau.
Yeah.
And then it started. It's why I don't know if it's due to the stress and stuff like that. One, it was because I didn't want to come off of it.
If you're thinking about your gyno, that also means that you're also thinking about, logically, the other adverse side effects. Like, holy shit, I'm getting side effects, and all of a sudden your dick doesn't work. That could have been the case. I'm not saying that it was. I'm not saying that side effects don't occur, but there is, when you're dealing with sex and you're dealing with your ability to perform, the brain is everything. If you think you can't get it up, you can't get it up, period, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's sometimes it's surreal, like, is this actually happening, you know, because you're like, no, is this in my head? It actually brings me on to the next point I wanted to talk about the people on YouTube, right? And everyone who goes through this looks to the internet, and there's a few main heads in the YouTube game that I'm not going to mention, but sometimes you come across people that are complete post-finasteride deniers, right?
Yeah.
And it sort of makes you think, you doubt your own sanity sometimes, because they basically say if you're getting side effects, it's all in your head, right? Which could be dangerous at times, but it's worrying. It's almost a lot, yeah, it's like a bit cult-like in the comments, and people hate it if you're a just shave it bro, when I think it's a completely, you know, if you want to go that route, then fine. I don't understand the stigma behind that.
It's like any other thing in life, and it's interesting that it's something that's much more visible now during the online age over the last 20 years, but everyone has their camp. You know, and before the internet, you didn't see it as often, you know, but now everyone really does take their position, and then there are these mini cults, and in this space, there are several. And I'm of the belief that side effects are real, they happen in a much smaller percentage of guys than are claiming or that are sadly dealing with them as far as the actual side effect from the drug. There is a nocebo effect from all of the stuff that's on there. There's a mass hysteria. But with that said, they are real. And I do believe there's a subset of guys who, after taking this drug, have long-term adverse side effects. But I think it's far more rare than is kind of being presented on the internet. So,
yeah, I agree.
But in my career, up until very recently, up until 7 or 8 years ago, nothing. Nobody ever contacted us. Nobody ever contacted me personally about getting off this drug and having long-term adverse side effects. Didn't exist maybe 10 years ago. It didn't exist until these post-finasteride campaigns were put online. So, do I believe it happens? I do. I mean, it's got to be real. I mean, to some extent. But I believe the cases are really, compared to the amount of drug that's prescribed on a annual basis, that's actually doubled in the last 5 years, by the way. The cases of adverse side effects and long-term adverse side effects are minuscule compared to all the people who have success on the drug for the benign prostate hyperplasia or hair loss. That's just the reality. So if you look at the data, that's the data. But I get what you're saying, man.
Yeah, could that be more people taking it, though? Like a correlation of the more people that are taking it, especially younger people now, I think, are on it and being introduced to a lot more people, naturally you're going to see more side effects, right? I just completely, I don't know if that's true. But
it can be true, sure. But here's the thing. There's also other variables, like the generic variable. Are certain generics causing people to have more adverse side effects? Or are the side effects more heavily weighed on the brand name? That's information we don't have. I do know that when it comes to companies like Keeps and Hims and Roman and all of these guys who are doing these subscription models for generic finasteride, there seems to be a lower incidence of side effects being reported to these companies, because I think there are a lot of patients who aren't spending a lot of time online, who are just seeing their ads on television or on their Instagram feeds, buying these products, taking them, and they're not really reading that much about the side effects, or they don't necessarily correlate what they're taking from Keeps or Hims as finasteride or Propecia, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting phenomenon.
I can't get away from them.
It's an interesting phenomenon that I'm seeing in these subscription models. These guys who are using these companies seem to be reporting in much smaller numbers, reporting adverse side effects.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think. You can't really escape it. Like anywhere on my social media now, I'm getting hair transplant ads and stuff like that. So it's like it just takes over your whole life from when you see it, basically.
You can escape it. You can get a new computer, a new phone. You can change your Facebook information, and you can stop looking up hair loss. And don't talk about it.
Yeah,
and then you're not going to see the shit in your feed.
Yeah. That's a good shot. I think it's just difficult because I'm sort of sitting on a problem at the moment. I kind of wanted to. There was a period where I took the pill, finasteride, and I was completely fine. I didn't think about it, and I was happy because I wasn't losing any hair, and I was like, I'm not even thinking about it anymore. I don't know what pushed it over the edge, but I don't know. It's a shame, really.
I'll tell you how strong the mind is. Sometimes I get like, it's not like full-blown rosacea, but I'll get a little like irritation, on my skin. And if I think about it, if I just think about it, all of a sudden it's itching, it's getting more red. But if I completely forget about it, I'll go look in the mirror, it's gone. That's how strong our mind is. And there's no doubt, like I said earlier today at the beginning of the show, I had an issue with my leg. I went in to get a sonogram because I'm an old guy. I'm like, I got a fucking blood clot. This is fucked up. And I could wake up, I'd be all stroked out. So I went to get this checked out. But when I was thinking about it, my leg hurt like a motherfucker. After I got the results, I mean, I still have some pain, but it's almost gone. I completely believe our mind can do us a tremendous disservice. And in my world, with my OCD and shit like that, I know how difficult it can, how many problems your brain can cause you, just your thoughts. So there's no doubt in my mind that there's a large percentage of people who are dealing with a nocebo effect when it comes to this drug.
I agree.
Yeah. I have an. It's you get sucked into these forums that you said already in a previous call how toxic they are, and I think you're only looking at negative things, right? Because if you're getting positive effects from it, you're not going to be on forums talking about it. So you're only seeing people's awful stories and people having issues. So,
dude, I know better. I know better. And I got this pain in my leg, and I'm looking up possibilities, and I see blood clot. I'm on I'm on Reddit. I'm looking around, and people are like, "Yeah, my sister, you know, she let it go. You know, she ignored it, and she ended up having a stroke or a heart attack. She's 24 years old." I'm like, "Holy shit!" You know, I'm sitting there. This is no joke. I had a bag packed. My hair was done. I was ready to call an ambulance. Like I was sitting there, like for my evening, just in case.
Meanwhile, there's a guy that has a podcast that's talking to people that have issues with their legs, saying, "Stay off the forums."
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, if anything, you know, I hope that this program and having the ability to speak to us gives you a little solace, knowing that it's not over for you. You had it's a remarkable event for sure. I mean, you definitely felt gynecomastia. It happens, but it's also very possible to titrate that dosage to the point where you see results, you benefit from the drug, and you have no adverse side effects. And, you know, so I wouldn't just throw in the towel. I would definitely talk to another doctor.
Yeah, okay, I'll definitely do that. Just one more question about why do you think people are losing their hair younger? Because is it like stress that's prematurely triggering the male?
I don't believe they're losing their hair younger. I mean, there are just as many guys in my age bracket that were losing their hair when I was 21. We're talking about like 1986, 1987. Guys were freaking out.
I think it may seem that way now because there are more people online
talking
about it. So there's more people talking about it. But there's zero evidence out there on any resource that points to statistics showing that people are losing their hair younger now than at any time in the past.
Now, I will say women are losing their hair younger now than any time in the past. And the reason for that, and I can say this with confidence, is because women have been prescribed birth control at younger and younger ages, hormonal birth control. And their androgenetic alopecia is being triggered much younger than it ever was. So where a lot of women would have started to see or deal with androgenetic alopecia around menopause, perimenopause, or postmenopause, women are seeing as soon as they get on the pill or get off the pill at a young age, they could be 16 or 17 years old, they're losing their hair. That's just
scary
the reality.
Stuff.
It is scary stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's a drug that no one is boycotting. Yeah.
No one's boycotting. No one's talking about it. No one's raising mortal hell because of all the side effects. It's the one thing that we guys get that helps us keep our hair.
Yeah.
That's what people are going
Well,
after.
there's a whole political thing. You know, I mean, I am completely, you know, women have the right to choose, but I think women have the right to be educated about their choice. And that's what bothers me about these gynecologists and the physicians and just the politics of birth control that, yeah, make this available for anyone who wants to take it, but give them all the facts. Like, you know what? There's a possibility if hair loss runs in your family that taking this drug will flip that switch. And if you're willing to deal with that, then go for it. No one's
That's where
told
the question should come in. Do you want to have a baby or keep your hair?
That's true. That's true.
Aha!
I like
aha!
All right, man, listen, we're going to take another call before we call it a night. We started a little late.
No worries.
A
Thank
little
you
late.
for taking the call anyway. And make sure you like the video, everyone, and thank you.
Listen, thank you, man. Good
I
luck.
was gonna say, yeah.
You're going to be okay, man. Just, that was your first experience. It was not 100% successful. It can be. Just talk to a doctor and really start, I mean, Joe talks about, his method. If you start off with small dosages, it's unlikely you're going to experience a side effect in the same way that you did, or to the same extent. And you may not experience any adverse side effects. So talk to your doctor about that.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
good luck.
it.
Take care.
Take care, yeah.
Bye-bye.
Phone number, 888-659-3727. Can you imagine sitting a girl down, 19-year-old girl down, saying, listen, at least you have 50-50 chance of losing your hair by taking this birth control or getting this hormonal implant. Are you into that?
I think
no
a
one's
lot
going to
less
say that.
ladies would be taking the pill.
Of course. And what about blood clots? And what about, all the other issues that it can cause? But the hair thing destroys women's lives. And it's like it doesn't exist. And it's huge. I would say at least 9 out of 10 women who contact us through the American Hair Loss Association, who begin the androgenic alopecia process before the age of 40, have either started right after they took birth control or right after they stopped taking birth control. And that was it. They were off to the fucking races. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, Spencer and Joe.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, how are you? This is Greg from New Jersey. I've actually called in before.
Man, you only get one call a year, Greg. I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Oh, man.
What's up?
Both your hair look good, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just got a haircut.
Very nice. Very nice.
I just wanted to tell you an interesting story. So my hair, I've been on Finasteride for 2.5 years. I was doing laser before that, and then it started to look like it was thinning recently. So I was like, oh, maybe I should look into PRP. And, of course, I go on Google Maps, and I see a place called Med Spa, and I'm like, let me channel my ball truth knowledge, and I
Thank you.
decided not to go there. So then I found a local dermatologist who offered PRP. But the first thing she said to me, guess what it was? Are you on generics?
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm on the Bold Truth right now. So
And she's like, what?
She asked me that, and I said, yeah, I was like, what? And she actually said that before you do PRP, I went in there thinking she was going to try to sell me this and tell me to stop taking finasteride and all that. But she actually recommended 5 milligram tablet, cutting it in half, and she actually said she recommends that to her menopausal female patients. And I kept saying half or quarter because I'm so used to hearing quarter. But she said, no, take half. She said, a lot of my patients that are on 1 milligram generics, even though it's supposed to be equivalent, may not be getting what they need. So she said, even if you take half of this tablet and it's a little less in the generic, at least you'll be getting 1 milligram. So I thought that was interesting.
It's actually unusual, and I would like to know who this person is.
Yeah.
And I would like to send her. I would like to send her some candy or something.
Yes, Dr. Kopp, K-O-P-P in Cherry Hill area.
K-O what?
K-O-P-P in Cherry Hill.
Dr. Kopp in Cherry Hill. How old is she?
I'm not sure. Probably in her 40s, if I was to guess.
And Joe wants to know if she's hot.
From the photo, yes.
Yeah.
And you can't see much under the mask these days. So, but yeah, I thought that was an
she had nice eyes.
Story, and it, yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's it's interesting because every once in a while you will stumble on someone who has the experience and the knowledge base. It's unusual in the world of dermatology. I have to say that.
That's what I figured, and that's why I was impressed when I went there. Actually, I wrote to them and I said, I was all ready to start PRP and all that, and then I ended up that day with, a prescription, and it's actually costing less than Keeps that I was on before.
Okay, that's
great.
And I saw on Amazon you could actually get name brand for cheaper if you're a Prime member, and also generic. It's like 50% off or something. So it's good to know. But yeah, so far so good. It's been a month. My hair.
Wait a second. You can get name brand. You can get name brand ProScar for 50% cheaper.
No. You can get generic for 50% cheaper, but you can get name brand. I think like 15 to 20% off.
Wow.
On Amazon as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just good to know. But yeah, the only thing she did mention, and she said, we're trying to keep your hair follicles alive as much as possible for new treatments down the road. So she did mention Rogaine, and I've never used it before. And I know you always said it's a Band-Aid, but I figured maybe consider it as an adjunct to the finasteride since I've been on it.
Did you start it?
I did start it about a month ago, and I mean, the thinning spots look a little thinner, but the hairs that were already terminal and thick seem to be thicker now, and the texture is starting to change for the better so far. So
okay, well that's good. I mean, once you're on that shit, you're on that shit, and that's the thing that I'm not a fan of. But people do benefit from it, and like I said, to the last caller, I benefited from the use of it for years. I had to wean myself off of it, but yeah, I mean, this is that's a typical
protecting it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I figured since I was already protecting my hair follicles, I guess once you get off, if you ever got off of minoxidil, you'd be back in the same place you were, most likely, when you're on finasteride. But then she said something else to me that sounded very bold, truth-like. She said, your teeth decay as well, and if you're concerned about a routine, your hair is going to decay, and essentially...
Did you ask her if she listened to the show?
Teeth. I should have. I was like, this is really weird right now. But I walked out of the office feeling really good. Like, I felt like my hair was growing back just from such a good experience. I wasn't scammed or anything like that.
No, and that's a good name to know.
Visit.
That's a great visit. It's a good name to know for anyone in New Jersey, because she could have taken you for PRP. She could have made that $1,500 or $2,000 easily. But
easily.
But
the first visit go ahead. I'm sorry.
But what she gained was a patient for many years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And these fucking doctors in general, man,
they
they don't give a shit. This is so rare. It's so nice to hear this.
Yes, and from listening to your show, it seems like that. And then you find I'm glad I called her and not the spa place, because I was like, spa, get a massage and PRP and a hair transplant doesn't sound like a good idea.
Let me tell you something. If anything has the word spa, it could be Medi-Spa. If it's has any type of like weird, sexy marketing, if they offer facials or anything like that, get the fuck out of there.
Makes sense. And your advice basically helped me with that, because I could have jumped on that. Like, I wasn't panicking. Like, my hair's already thin. Like, I was stupid and I started finasteride last. I did laser first. But and I kept telling her, I was like, knowing what I know now, I would have jumped on finasteride first.
Yeah.
But yeah, but so far so good.
Look, I know. I just want to say that, and I'm gonna say there's only one hair transplant surgeon expert that I know that has a Medi Spa as well. That's it. One.
Interesting.
Now, that's okay, I guess. So I kind of spoke too soon, I guess, because that's unfair. But he's one. In general, it's not a good thing to look at.
What in general, what it indicates if it's got med spa in the name, it generally means that the doctor has no training, has no experience, and lets like just travel technicians come in where it's a different technician every week and have their way with the patients.
I know one guy, he's in the Texas area, who is a real hair transplant surgeon, does it full time, but also has a med spa situation. So, okay, that's an exception. But the rule is, in general, if it's a med spa, especially like in a strip mall or some shit, just avoid it.
Makes sense.
Well, look, man, I'm glad.
Absolutely.
That's a great experience. I'm glad you called in to let us know, and I hope you do well. Let us know.
Yeah, I will. I'm using the foam. She said use it once a day, for compliance. You don't need to use it twice a day. Just use it at night, and then take half your tab and see how it goes. And yeah, so I'm feeling pretty positive.
She listens
if my
to the
hair
show.
is important to me.
She listens to the
What's
show.
that?
She listens to the show. I've never heard of a
She must,
dermatologist
right? 'Cause there
saying
were 3 points.
I've never heard a dermatologist saying use it once a day. I mean, the whole tooth thing.
She must.
That's my line. Come on.
Yeah, and the only other information on once a day that I could find is actually on Dr. Bernstein's website. So she must listen to the show or know this detail in the industry. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I appreciate
it's
the call.
nice. Yeah.
Appreciate the call. I'll look her up.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care. Good luck.
Thanks for calling.
Have a good
Okay.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
You want to take one last call?
Before I do, I need to tell people to get that like button set up over to 50. And thank you for all the people the 2 people that disliked. We're now down to 0. Thank you. For those that liked, we're up to 47. Let's see 50. Let's go to the call.
Okay. Joe says go to the call. You're on the air.
Spencer and Joe, how you doing? It's Pat from Ireland.
Pat from Ireland. How are you, man?
What's up, man?
I'm very good. How are you? All good.
Pretty good.
Just a quick. I'm just calling in. First question to ask: have either of you ever been to Ireland?
No, I have not been to Ireland.
Oh, you need to come over. You need to come over because I tell you one thing, I could sit chatting to you guys for hours. I love listening to the show.
Well, I have a friend who moved to Ireland. His name is Chauncey Hayden, and you guys may have heard of him, may not have heard of him.
He moved to Ireland?
He moved to Ireland, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
And
do you know what part he moved to?
I'm not 100% sure. And I don't know if he should. I don't know if he'd want me to say, but he's living in Ireland. He's got a kid there. He's basically moved there for her, and he's retired there. And I watch him on Facebook. He seems to have an interesting life. There's a lot of drinking happening apparently.
It seems to be the Irish culture, really.
Yeah.
But with pubs closed with this whole lockdown thing, we have to do it at home. Out enjoying our beers.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask you just to touch on the subject of bad doctors, and what the industry is full of them. The industry is absolutely full of them. Like you guys talk about it the whole time. But is there ever any recourse for some of the shit results and fucking people's heads up that doctors have done? I know when you go in for surgery, you sign a waiver, and you're kind of leaving yourself well, no, you can't do it or whatever. But is there any recourse that you guys know of that can happen for doctors?
It's a good question, and I can tell you this in general.
Very, very good.
In general, the recourse is minimal. Now, if we've tried to offer people the opportunity to act as a liaison to the IHRS, and I've done a lot over the years. The problem with that is that eventually, if the patient isn't happy with that, our ability to help liaison with the physician, then it's not a good situation for them. They still feel unhappy about it. There are times when we've actually been able to really help patients out, and there are times we have not been able to. That's the only chance, I would say, that most patients truly have to deal with a really bad outcome. I don't know of any other resource out there that's really been able to help patients. With that said, anytime you go in for a cosmetic procedure, you are essentially signing your rights away. And I would say at least as nice as these guys are, and they're going to be really super nice when they're selling you that surgery or even the day of treatment, eventually, if you're super unhappy and keep complaining, you are looked at as the enemy. And that's just the truth. And it's,
100%.
it's a hard truth for people to understand. I've been telling them this for years. No one believes me until it happens to them. And that's all part of being prepared for this surgery. Joe?
That's why I came out my very first video in my hair transplant education series was don't have a hair transplant. And it wasn't to dissuade people from having surgery. It was to dissuade people from not being prepared for the potential downsides. And my belief is that, I mean, and there's always exceptions to the rule. I mean, there are certain situations where no amount of education can really make a difference. But I think that if you go in to a clinic that you've researched well, that you didn't choose because of their Instagram posts, but you chose because they have a website with photos that are very clear and crisp, that you can zoom in, you can see what's going on. They have a track record over the course of several years that you can gauge their consistency by, and where you can speak to some patients. I think that if you do all that, and you understand that it can still go south, like it can still fail for whatever that means, like it can be poor growth or bad, whatever. I don't know if a patient has a right to seek retribution if they know going in, if they've been educated properly, and the clinic isn't making unrealistic promises, such as we guarantee every graft will grow, which doesn't mean anything, because every time you see a clinic that says we guarantee that every graft will grow, they followed up with a caveat, but if they don't, we'll replace them for free. That's not a guarantee.
Right. And here's the thing.
It doesn't mean anything.
There are patients out there who I've been able to get refunds for, and there's patients out there I have not been able to get refunds for. Some doctors and clinics have a no refund policy. They will repair the work. Now, I understand a person being in a position where they don't want to go to the same clinic for repairs. That I completely understand. But there's only so much that we can do as an organization, especially if you're dealing with, physicians who have thousands of cases under their belt. They're performing, several hundred cases a year, and maybe they have a total of 10, 15 complaints over, a decade. But for every complaint, these guys' lives, they feel like their lives are destroyed. It's very real. And that's why I warn you guys, no matter who, we provide a safer resource to start your research. That is it. So years ago I came out, I was talking about this in a chat in a industry WhatsApp group. Years ago when I started the radio program, it was kind of like all of a sudden there were, especially in the New York tri-state area, there were people who were like, holy shit, there's a place I complain about my bad hair transplant. And people were calling about two particular clinics. And one guy actually tried to get my sponsors pulled from the show, and he was successful, but we were able to overcome that. And, but the reality is when you offer people an opportunity of hope, sometimes it's kind of like you give somebody an inch, they take a mile, All we can do is provide the people with the information, people's stories who've had bad hair transplants, let people know that this can happen, and let them know that, there are some good resources out there, but there's always a chance that someone's going to be unhappy. People want to know what the retribution is, or what the recourse is. You can try to sue. It's not going to work. People have tried to go online and make complaints. If they're real, that's fine. Just don't exaggerate your complaints. That's it. Once you go under the knife, you're taking a chance. I mean, did you have a bad hair transplant?
I broached the subject with you before on a previous phone call. I'm 40 now, but I had my first hair transplant when I was 25 with a doctor based in the south of Ireland. And to be honest, I couldn't tell you how many grafts I I got with him over before. I had 4 transplants with him, and I went in 2006 and again in the later half of 2007, I think 2009 and then 2010. And the whole thing that he kept, I mentioned it before, he also had surgery done, and his looked great. And he kind of advertised that it was, oh yeah, you'll get hair just like mine. And of course, I know we spoke about this before. He got somebody else, like there was some other better trained doctor that did it for him.
Yeah, the first thing that I would ask him is like, who did your transplant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he explained to me the whole FUT procedure at the time, and he showed me his scar. It was very minimal. It was really, really decent, tidy work that he got done. But with me, what he ended up doing was he was very unclear about it. When I look back at the time, he was unclear about. Oh well, we're going to take. You know, my understanding was when he took the first FUT strip, he said for your second procedure, we'll cut over that strip and take the hair on both sides, take the graft from the hair on both sides of that strip. But he didn't. What he did is he made a fresh slit underneath that, about 1 centimetre down underneath it. So then I had 2 slits. And the next 2 procedures, he did 2 further slits. So I have 4 slits across the back, scars across the back of my head from FUT procedures, which at the time I was led to believe, no, we'll just keep cutting out over the same scar from your original scar, and we'll just take the hair on either side of the scar. I mentioned the specs about that. I mentioned the doctor. Can I name the doctor?
Yeah.
Can you guys get in trouble if I name him?
You can say whatever you want.
Oh, brilliant! His name was Connor Kiley, and he was based. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Really?
But he was based in. Yeah. Did you hear of him?
BlackRock.
The Black Hawk.
He's with BlackRock Clinic, right?
Cork. Oh no. You're thinking of Morris Collins.
Oh, that's right.
Collins
Connor
Black
Kill. I know the name. I know the name. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not.
I know the name.
Let's not disparage Dr. Collins and BlackRock.
No, of course. Of course.
2 different days.
So,
at the time, they were the only 2 doctors that did hair restoration surgery in Ireland, and I remember the whole thing. And I was naive. I was vulnerable at the time. I was desperate, and the whole thing was he kept promising me, "Oh, we can fix that. We can fix that. We can add extra grafts into your scar, and we can cover it up, and it'll be great when it's all done." And then he vanished.
Well, hang on. Let me interrupt you just a second. How was the actual result itself? And forgive me if you said this. I don't recall you saying it, but you're talking about the scars. But how was the result in the recipient area?
Very, very below average. I have to use a lot of topic to maintain any kind of fullness to it, and so much so. I think I emailed John pictures there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like I have the whole hair fibre thing down to an art form now. I've been doing it for this long. And I've been in touch with Dr. Pradeep in eugenics. I was meant to go back over to him last August for a procedure, but with COVID and all, we've had to push it back.
So what was your hair loss situation when you started? Like, how much hair loss did you have that he was trying to fill in?
Oh, trying on a Norwood scale. I couldn't even tell you. I was thinning. I was starting to thin. The hairline was starting to recede. It was like for 4 FUT procedures, it's a very poor result. The best indication I can give you to how it looks now is from when Dr. Setti looked at my pictures. He said that you have about 5 to 10 grafts per square centimetre.
Okay.
And he graded me as a Norwood 6.
Okay, and did Dr. Kiley, was he planting hair into your existing native hair when this all started, and then the final result comes out, the density is bad, you go back in, you do some more, you might have receded some more, so he adds some more behind the existing work into a new area, and just kind of kept going like that? Is that the progression of things?
That's pretty much it, yeah. pretty much
Okay,
exactly
yeah.
it. I have to apologize.
It sounds to
There's
me...
a 2-second delay on the line here.
Yeah, no worries. No, it's okay. It sounds to me like there's also the potential for, I don't know how many grafts are transplanted, and I think you said that you were never told, but there's a high probability that there was an issue with permanent shock loss of your native hair, which caused, it can cause two things. Number one, obviously the need for more work because you're thinner than you were beforehand, but also like I've seen cases where the number of grafts transplanted were supposed to be enough, or they normally would be enough, but because the native hair thinned out from permanent shock loss, the number of hairs that were transplanted just couldn't make up for that deficit that wasn't there to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then how do the grafts look? Are they natural looking as far as the angle and direction? Are they single hairs up front, or is it pluggy? Do you look like you have ant heads sticking out of your head like I used to?
There's a couple of there are a couple of triple or doubles, and there are a couple of doubles in my hairline, and the angle is they're more sticking up as opposed to. But I've been for the last couple of years I've been styling in such a way that I think it looks natural. My biggest fear with Topic, if I was to wear a baseball cap and take it off, it takes half the Topic off with it, and be patching it and pinning it, or a bad shower of rain or a bad gust of wind, and it just cleans the hair out.
Yeah, but it's never rainy or windy in Ireland, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, you haven't been. The weather that we've had the last week was like summer at the start of the week, and it's 3 degrees now.
Yeah, I'm totally kidding. I know it's windy and rainy there. So, yeah. Well, I think, okay, so to answer your question, or actually one more question. So you're asking if there's some sort of retribution you can get, some sort of action you can take because of what? Because of the poor eventual outcome, or because of the number of scars that you have on the back of your head? And
I would use the word recourse as opposed to retribution. Just saying.
Yeah, to be honest, Joe, it was 15 years ago, and that doctor, I've seen on forums as well that other people had the same issue. I think somebody left a comment that might have been in the hair restoration.
You could always toilet paper his house.
Where they were left before. Beg your pardon?
You could always TP his house, toilet paper his house. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, there were so many different rumors I heard at the time that first that he passed away, that he had heart issues, that he was sick, and then I discovered that he's over living in the UK doing in a beauty kind of. He does Botox injections.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he does hair transplant.
All these old time alleged hacks end up doing insurance medicine, or they might get into some sort of like you said. Simple, injectable, cosmetic practice, or there's one guy that I know that's doing penis enlargement. They all find their way into some other bullshit.
Yeah, when I mentioned this doctor's name to Specs, I met Specs about 4 years ago, and I mentioned him. Specs said to me, "I think he's been struck off the medical register. He's doing such bad work." And
it's possible.
I don't know. I don't know. But it's I'm the fine example of being naive and rushing into something when I didn't do my proper due diligence at the time.
Well, I think that the problem here is that it's been quite a while, and I'm more than positive that there was nothing putting in writing as far as the number of scars that you would wind up with, and unfortunately, cases like this are really tough because they're, your result, like usually there would be some sort of expert witness brought, say you got it to court, and there would be some sort of expert witness that would be brought in, and they could just look at your result, and I'm just assuming based on what you're telling me, and they could say, well, it's just a natural progression of loss. He just needed more work. And the doctor was trying to get as much hair in each procedure, and that's why he went for individual strips. Well, he didn't communicate that he was doing individual strips. He told me to just have one. Well, is there any documentation on that? No. And that would be really tough.
Yeah.
I think that, like, I hate hearing this. I really, like, I've seen this so many times. I went through it myself. I didn't have 4 strip scars. I had 2. So I know the problems that presents. But yeah, it's just tough, man. And there's really nothing you can do, as far as like going to court, legal recourse.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm only
because
I
he's
know
left,
myself. I'm probably barking up the wrong
go
tree,
ahead.
but I'm just thinking for other people further down the road that might have the same come across, because I'm sure today the same thing still happens. People are going to doctors that don't have a fucking clue really, and are just kind of straight out of medical school. Oh, I think I'll get hair transplant surgery. I think I'll go into that field without any proper training.
It reminds me of somebody.
They're kind of penny really.
Yeah. Well, look, I think the lesson to take away from this, and yeah, you're right. Like, younger people and people listening to this, maybe they can learn something from your experience. But I think that, the thing that people need to keep in mind is, if they're in a position where you are, where it's like, there's more procedures are suggested than what was originally planned on. If anything comes up that's like a surprise, you need to tell that doctor to just stop what the hell they're doing and explain this shit. And if anything seems wrong, you take a walk. Like, you owe them nothing. Don't ever forget. And this goes for everyone watching this. They're working for you. You're paying their asses to do work for you. It's not the other way around.
Yeah.
You don't owe them anything.
Yeah.
If something seems off, even after the first surgery, and they're trying to explain the situation, yeah, well, we didn't realize this, or we were hoping for that. Stop and think about it, and it may be legit. I'm not saying it's not, but don't hesitate to question what you're being told simply because they're a doctor. Like, it means nothing.
Yeah.
Question everything.
Yeah.
And evaluate and decide on how to move forward. But I have to reiterate, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your issue. I know it's tough.
Yeah, no. Look, I've managed to cope with it, and the thing about it is now I listen to you guys, and the one thing that I always take on in, if you do go in, you have to be realistic. You have to be realistic as to what the outcome can be, and that's the way I look at things now. At the time, I was kind of, I'm going to get my hair back like when I was a teenager. I was so naive at the time. And I just didn't like. It wasn't like the whole hair transplant surgery avenue was kind of, I would say it was more taboo subject 15 years ago. It's a lot more, people talk about it a lot more nowadays.
It's interesting.
Back then it was kind of
it was a lot more secretive. It was a lot more taboo. The market was a lot smaller. But the sad thing is, everything that happened years ago has just been scaled. It's just different. And it was a smaller group of people who were the walking wounded than there are today. Now there are thousands of people who are going to have surgery on Monday, whose lives are going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
They've booked their flights. They've done whatever they're going to do. They've saved their money. They've taken off vacation time. They may have cashed in some stocks or taken out a loan. And they've done all that to destroy their lives. And they have no idea. Think about these guys who are still paying, these guys who have been botched, who are still paying back their loans every month. So otherwise their credit's going to be destroyed. And and their lives have already been destroyed. Imagine that feeling. I don't know if you were one of those guys, but that happens every single day.
Yeah, I got a loan when I had my 4 FUT procedures. I got a loan to pay for those, and it's just
you're paying back.
The loan has since been paid off.
Yeah, but you're paying every month. You're paying that loan back. You're like, motherfucker, man. So
yeah, it was kind of I was the fine example of what's happening to a lot of people today. It happened to me 15 years ago, and I just realize like now from listening to you guys how important it is to do your research, to realize that the outcome mightn't be what you think. And I think it's doctors, with your doctors, Joe, and Spencer with the IAHRS, the doctors that are there,
they are more realistic in telling you as to what the outcome can be, rather than promising the sun, moon, and stars. And once you give us your money, off you go, and next thing you go off and you get a poor result, or
well, they're also willing
you
to
react
be.
poorly
They're also
the
willing to
surgery.
essentially be under a magnifying glass, and they're willing to. They know that for many people who have, if they have a bad result, they're going to end up contacting us, and they don't want that shit.
I'll tell you something. What Spencer said is really important. Like, when it comes to transparency, doctors that he works with and I work with, because I only work with IHRS doctors, so there's already a level of standard that they have to live up to. But like, I'm reviewing a doctor now where I'm asking for things that you don't see on the website, that you don't see when you just talk to a patient. I'm asking for a lot of information, and one of the things I'm looking for is consistency across the board. But once I go through this process and I find, like, if a clinic makes it through to the other end where we work it out to where they're on my website and they're members, it doesn't stop. Like, it doesn't just stop there. There was a doctor I had recently that he wasn't doing bad work. I mean, he still does good work, but it's about how they conduct themselves, how they treat their patients, how they act as people. Because, when I work with doctors, I want to work with people that I know aren't going to just do stupid shit just to get attention, that might compromise their attention spans when they're actually doing surgeries. And I actually had to remove someone from my website recently because I felt like they were putting a patient at risk just for the sake of a publicity stunt.
And I had to remove him after 19 years of service.
Yeah.
So there's more pressure on these guys when they step up and they meet a certain standard that might set them apart from their competition. They're putting themselves under that microscope. I think you mentioned it, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't end. They're under more pressure to perform and maintain that level of performance and ethics, and just not doing stupid shit for the entire time that they're a member. And they can be removed at any time. Like, if something comes up that they make a really bad decision, they're gone. And so I think that I think that there's a lot of clinics don't have that kind of pressure because they do kind of fly under the radar. They resort to Instagram marketing and that kind of thing, and they don't have. One thing that bothers me is a lot of these clinics don't have a standard of presentation that I think is even worth considering, where they'll have Instagram photos on their website after patients have sent them in. And there's not a single Instagram photo I've ever seen that has the clarity, the level of detail that I would want to see if I was evaluating someone. And so, in fact, I had one clinic recently that has been really wanting to come on board with me for the past year. They keep posting all these photos that are actually on their Instagram account on various forums. And I'm looking at it, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, what are these people looking at when they're saying, wow, looks like great work? I'm thinking to myself, it looks like you got, Vaseline on the lens of the camera. I actually got this clinic to upgrade their photography setup. I recommended a camera, I recommended a lens, I recommended a lighting system, and they bought it. And somehow their photos still look like crap. And that was one of the things I told them. I was like, well, if you want to be a part of what I do, you have to up your game, and this is how you do it. And somehow they're not getting it right. I can't explain it. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of clinics fly under the radar, and they get away with treating people badly, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just good. It's good. Like I know you said this to me before, Spencer, if only I'd found you guys 15 years ago. You know, I know you've been on the air since the late 90s, I think. Is that right, Spencer?
Yeah, but I mean, the truth is the internet was still in its infancy 15 years ago, and there wasn't much about the Bald Truth, at least the show, online. I wasn't doing any podcasting or anything, and it was really, you know, an American radio show. So,
yeah. No, that's exactly it. It was in its infancy. Like, there wasn't the knowledge out there. If I was to Google hair transplant Ireland, two names would crop up: the Blackrock Clinic and Conor Kiley's clinic down in Cork. And that was my choices. And then, you know, the other option was to travel. But like, the reality is, if you wanted to, you have to. It's a life changing. Just for our listeners that might be listening, it is a life changing decision that you make, and you need to be sure, because you could be going to the wrong place. And at least Spencer and Joe, with you, that you're guiding us in the right direction. You're guiding people like myself and other people that suffer with hair loss in the right direction. Say, well, look, if you are going to go ahead with surgery as your resort, and with it being the last resort, we need to guide you in the right direction. And I'm sure all the other listeners are so appreciative of what you do for us. Like, you're like a guiding light in a stormy sea.
Well, man, I mean, what am I going to say to that?
you.
I really appreciate you saying that. I'm sorry that we were not there, or we were there, but you didn't find us 15 years ago. But your story brings tremendous value to our listeners and to everyone who's watching the broadcast. And it's a cautionary tale that everyone should pay attention to, because it's not because it was done 15 years ago. This shit is happening today, and in much greater numbers than ever before. And the damage that's being done today, a lot of times it can't be rectified.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, a guy came up to me 2 years ago. I don't want to keep you for much longer, guys, either. Sorry.
That's right.
Just a quick story. A guy came up to me a couple of years ago that knew that I had hair restoration surgery done before, and he was saying, I'm thinking of going to Turkey. And I kind of said, what's the clinic, or why are you going? And he said, oh, well, it's this clinic, and they're offering a really good deal because they're offering, like, it was like a 5-star hotel thrown in with a package or something. And I kind of said, I would advise you against, do yourself a favour, check out Joe Tillman's website, check out the IAHRS, tune into the Bald Truth, listen to these guys. What did he do? He went to Turkey.
Yeah, and how did he do?
And he got it done. He only got it. I think he got it back in November, and it's starting to come through. But it's kind of, from what I can see at the minute, the hairline looks very straight. It looks kind of unnatural.
Yeah. Listen, these guys, people don't want to fucking learn. They don't want to listen. They want to get fixed. That is our mentality. You know, I've heard from so many guys who have been turned down by real doctors on multiple occasions, by multiple doctors. And they finally find the person who's willing to operate on them. And they regret it for the rest of their life. There's a reason why these doctors don't want to take your money, yo. It's because you're not a candidate. That's what I try to explain to them. But somebody will take their money. And it happens every time.
Yeah. That's the issue, is that you have too many people you don't have enough people, the likes of the IAHRS and the doctors on Joe's website, that are actually passionate about their work, that want to help people to, give them the confidence back that they have by having hair back. But then you've 80% others, or I don't know the percentage of numbers, are just in it for the money. They see it as a quick way of,
Well, I have to tell you that I've made some mistakes in the past. I've actually had good doctors who did good work, who I found out years later were essentially just in it for the money. They just happened to be good at what they did. And there's one physician who I had on the IHS for probably 17 or 18 years, and he became very political. And he was unhappy that I was exposing the truth about some of his colleagues in another organization and the way things were going down. And then this guy started to bring up, leads and, different websites that provide, far more leads than the IHRS and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, I was conned. The first thing I tell doctors when they're part of what we do is we have no online consultations. Do not expect, qualified leads coming in through our website, because that's not what we do. We create a safe place for patients to make a decision. And is there a marketing aspect to it? Yeah, you're going to get patients just based on you being a part of what we do, but we don't drive patients through our website to you like other websites do. We're an organization. Once I heard this, I was so fucking turned off. And I was just asked about him by somebody on Instagram who was going to this doctor for PRP. And I said, look, he's a good doctor. You're going to get you're probably going to, get great treatment. So don't worry about him not being on the IHRS. But this is the reality, and this is what I found out. So when you say that these guys aren't in for money, every once in a while I find out that, you know what, maybe I was conned myself. But I'm just glad that, at least the guys that have pulled the wool over my eyes, for the most part, are good at what they do.
Yeah.
So I had to get that off my chest.
It's always a pleasure to chat.
Listen, always a pleasure, man. Good luck. Thank you for the call.
And and it's good to talk. And again, sorry, I don't want to. I'm conscious. I don't want to hold you up.
Don't be.
I know you've probably other callers but I just wanted to touch base. I love listening. And when you're coming to Ireland, let me know, and we'll go out for a beer or something.
We'll go out for more than a beer. I don't stop at one.
Oh yeah,
they're pints.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, man.
Proper pints.
Yeah.
Take care. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for calling, buddy.
Thanks for the call, Spencer. See you. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thanks, Joe. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And turn the phones off.
It's late for him too. It's almost midnight.
Busy show. A lot of calls from overseas.
Show. Yeah, it was nice.
I'm brain dead. Give out the websites.
Well, let's see. hairtransplantmentor.com. Anything and everything about my history and doctors I work with, and of course, the world's largest and most comprehensive online glossary and terms and definitions for hair loss and hair transplantation. Of course, if you're watching the YouTube feed right now, it's youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. It is the official hair transplant channel or YouTube channel for hairtransplantmentor.com. Spencer's website's iahrs.org. It is the place to start. Like, if you're looking for a hair transplant doctor, start there. Like, I base anyone I work with, they got to be a member because, well, he does a lot of the work for me. That's a great place to start for me and for you, as usual.
Yeah.
I tell you, I used to use the IHRS from a sales point of view. I'm telling you, that helped me in my career as a consultant more than just about anything else, because that was a badge of honor. It is a badge of honor to be a part of the IAHRS, and I still push everyone there that I can, because I think that it's a great place to start for the search. And of course, the American Hair Loss Association is a great place to start for the information that people need.
Oh, and by the way,
websites,
we are
fantastic resources.
I swear to you, we're working on the update for the American Hair Loss Association. It has not been updated since the Civil War. Everyone says don't screw with it because so many people find it. The truth is, it needs to be updated. The information's not going to change that much, but there's going to be some new additions to the site, and it's going to be made to look like it was developed in this century. Soon.
I don't believe it.
It will.
All right.
It will.
What else we got?
That's it. BaldTruthTalk.com for the message forum, but my advice is stay off the forums. But I want to thank all of you guys for making it such a well-trafficked place, but don't spend too much time on it. Okay? Trust me. I hate these guys. I'm going to say something I'm going to regret, but I hate these guys who believe that Bald Truth Talk or what we do is some sort of competition to their forum. I don't give a shit about the forum. As a matter of fact, I like to get rid of the fucking thing. But I keep it around because physicians want a safer place, patients need a safer place. But let me tell you, it's a pain in the ass, and it is not something that I ever want to get involved in. How's that for being honest? You know, when a doctor says, when a doctor contacts me, say he's from Turkey or India or whatever, and they're like, oh, I would like to advertise on your forum, I'm like, motherfuckers, man, that's not what I do. There's other forums.
Not a single ad.
There's other
like, where do they
forums.
get this from?
There's other forums to support or to advertise on. You could be, in quotes, recommended just by picking up the phone in general and going through a very interesting process, I have to say. I don't even want to get into it. Just be careful, guys. That's what the show is all about. Just be careful. And do me a favor, follow me. You follow Joe too if you want. But follow me on Instagram at Spencer Kobren. You know, like I said, and I put out Instagram video the other day, the truth is hard to sell. It really is.
Yep.
Getting the truth out there is really fucking difficult because you are smothered and hammered with all the bullshit. And you know what gets out there on YouTube and Instagram? In general, the bullshit. If I want to connect myself to all these, you know, snake oilers and have 40 or 50,000 followers on Instagram, I can do it pretty easily. But just going out there and telling the truth, people don't want the truth. When they find it after the fact, they're really happy to get it. Oh, but yeah. They would rather follow bullshit than the truth. That's why it's actually pretty surprising I've been around for 25 years. All right, guys. That's it. Until next time, great show. Be strong. God bless. And thank you all for listening. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be